the Spartan's Wellness Podcast.
Hello, I'm Melissa.
I'm Emmeline.
I'm Dallarine.
Hello, I'm Alessandra.
I'm Leah.
I'm Amanda.
And this is a podcast where we discuss topics regarding mental health. We are part of HOSA, a CTSO. It's a career and technical student organization. It's an opportunity for students to be exposed to healthcare. And welcome to our podcast.
Today we'll be discussing topics involving the stigma around mental health, the importance of balance, stress regarding senior year, and if you stay to the end, we'll be answering questions from our listeners. Today we'll be discussing topics involving the stigma around mental health, the importance of balance, stress regarding senior year, and if you stay to the end, we'll be answering questions from our listeners.
For our first topic, we'll be discussing and debunking the stigma surrounding mental health. There isn't only one type of stigma. For example, 3 types are self, public, and structural. Negative attitudes and self-shame are categorized as self-stigma, while things like negative or discriminatory attitudes towards mental health from others is public stigma. Structural stigma is more systematic. For example, an organization that intentionally limits opportunities for people with mental health illnesses.
There's plenty of harmful effects regarding stigma and discrimination on mental health. Some risk factors even include lower self-esteem, social isolation, bullying, and discrimination at school, or maybe even the workplace. Some things you could do to break the stigma is talk openly about your mental health, educate yourself and others, show compassion, and try to be conscious of your language.
While being conscious of your language, make sure that conversation is a big factor in breaking the stigma when having a conversation with others. We should also be aware of our words and how we say them, how they can hurt others. Instead of saying, "It could be worse," try saying something like, "Thanks for opening up to me," instead of just saying something like, "Deal with it." You could also say, "Is there something I can do to help?" Another idea, rather than saying, "Everyone else feels that way sometimes." Try saying, "I'm sorry to hear that. It must be tough." Words are more powerful than you think, so make sure to be mindful of when speaking to others.
For our next topic, we'll be talking about the importance of having balance. Having balance in your life to prevent stress and burnout. Some people might have excuses for living an unbalanced life, like "I'm too busy" or "there's never enough time to do it all." Although that might have some truth behind it, in the end it's up to you. A week consists of 168 hours. If you sleep an average of 8 hours each night, you'll spend 112 hours awake. You should prioritize what time you do spend awake and choose to not waste it. Your time is a precious thing. You should use it wisely. A tip I have as an AP student and a student athlete is to recognize the importance in saying no. By that, I mean it can be hard to cancel plans because I have too much homework to do after practice or I'm too tired to hang out with friends. But I prioritize my mental health and my sleep first. Still maintaining a social life is important though. That's why I focus on keeping the balance between school, sports, and socializing.
For our final topic, before we get into the segment where we answer questions from our listeners, we wanted to discuss stress regarding senior year. As we are finishing up the first month of second semester, we know it can be a stressful time as seniors are signing up for college and awaiting senior activities. Senioritis is a real thing and can be more impactful than you may know. For our seniors out there listening, we want to give you guys a few tips. If you feel stressed out, try and take a few minutes out of your day to sit and ground yourself. We have a few grounding techniques on our Instagram page, like a 5-4-3-2-1 breathing method and a see what you say, smell, taste, and feel method as well. Or if you needed someone to talk to, contact our amazing counselors here on campus. There are also websites called Virtual Calming Rooms. It's a digital space that provides calming music, videos, and coloring pages to do and watch. We have one in our link tree that can be found in the link on our Instagram bio. We know senioritis can make you feel like skipping class or not wanting to do your assignments, but this is the final stretch of your high school career, so we want to encourage you to give it your all and try your best. Best of luck to our Spartan seniors.
Now we'll be getting into the Q&A segment. We posted to the Spartan's Wellness Instagram page asking you guys to ask us questions, and we picked a few to answer from the perspective of a fellow student. First, our first question, Leah will be reading it.
Okay, so for our first question, someone asked, "How can I manage stress? I feel like sometimes I have too much homework and not enough time to do it all."
Okay, so to answer that, I know managing stress as a high school student with homework is challenging, especially if you have extracurriculars, but you can make it more manageable. So you could do that by planning and also with self-care. So if you want tips, you can prioritize and plan. So you can create a to-do list, like writing down your task, or like for projects. Also, make sure for your planner, you schedule your day, and also you can do like activities that you can plan. So for prioritizing tasks, you can tackle assignments. So for doing that, once you're done with your classwork, make sure you don't get on your phone because that can like disrupt your movement. And just make sure you do your homework if you have like extra time at the period.
Yes, and to add to that, you make a great point by trying to get your work done during school. I try to do that as much as I can. I know we have like a 26-minute advisory period, and anytime I have homework given to me at school that I can do in my time at school, I try to do that in the 10-15 minutes before the period ends. I really try and lock in because I try to have as little as homework as possible to do at home because my home time is for me and my self-care. So I think prioritizing your school time is a great tip.
Another person asked, how can I support a friend going through a hard time?
You can support a friend just by listening to them, really. If they need their space, go ahead and give them their space. Personally, I know I like my space when I go through that. And honestly, if they need a vent, go ahead and let them vent. If they need to talk for a few hours, just be there and support them. We learned a lot of these tips at BeThereCertificate.org, where we're all certified. And honestly, it's really good. It's a really good resource for you guys to be reading. It gives you tips on how to deal with your mental health and how to support your friends going through it, your family. We know this is a very sensitive topic, and we just want you guys to be able to do it. And it's free, so.
Adding to what my teammate Emmeline said, the website to BeThereCertified.org is free, so make sure to check that out. For those of you listening, it's linked in our link tree. It's totally free. It doesn't take up no more than 2 hours. Make sure to check that out. It's helpful to you, and not only to you, but to those around you who you surround yourself to. You'll learn techniques and ways to be helpful to those struggling with mental health or feeling down. And one of our next questions is to Leah. Someone asked, how can I take a break from social media without feeling disconnected or left out?
So a few ways you could do this is by setting clear intentions. So you could like think to yourself, like, what am I doing this for? Like, am I doing this to get mental clarity, limit screen time, or even like focus on other priorities? Another way you could do this is communicate with friends. Let close friends and family know about your break. Make sure that you have an alternative to stay in touch, like meeting in person, texting, or even calling. Make plans with friends out, like in the real world, like outside. Try to have like a social life and focus on hobbies. You could find a new hobby to do. Discover more about yourself. Another thing is, I know a big problem when taking a break from social media is maybe getting FOMO. And I feel like a big thing to remember is that social media is just a highlight of people's lives, and not everything is how it seems. So just focus on your own journey. And the last thing is set a time frame for how long it's going to be from taking your break from social media. Like it could be a week or a month. And knowing that it's temporary can make it less intimidating.
Yes, adding on to what Leah and Amanda mentioned, it is about balance and moderation. So it's okay to say no to friends and make time for yourself, but don't totally isolate. Isolation can lead to depression and anxiety because you'll feel alone and left out. But personally, what I do to not feel that way is doing things outside of school, like going to softball practice, where I surround myself with people I can talk to. So make sure you build up trust and friendships. It's good to know that you at least have a support system.
And for our final question, Alyssa will be answering, how can I easily practice mindfulness?
Some easy methods for practicing mindfulness. It's pretty simple. For example, the first one is deep breathing. You can find a quiet spot, whether that be at home or at school. You want to sit comfortably and focus on your breath. Inhale deeply through your nose, hold it for a few seconds, and exhale slowly through your mouth. This only takes a few minutes, and if you do it a few times, this can help you in a stressful situation or moment. Another method that's pretty easy is mindful walking. So it's an activity where as you walk, you just pay attention to how your feet touch the ground, the movement of your legs, and the rhythm of your breath. This is perfect if you're having an anxious situation or day. These techniques can really help you stay present and can be super beneficial for managing stress. To our listeners that stayed to the end, we want to make sure that you stay updated on all our social medias, Spartans.wellness on Instagram, where you can find the rest of our links in bio, to our YouTube, TikTok, and Spotify.
Thank you for listening.